One of our subscribers sent us this big and wide sword. He claims that this ancient sword belonged to the pirates of the Caribbean. I have no idea whether this statement is true. Today, we'll do our best to restore it and give it a second life. First of all, we need to get rid of the dirt and remove the handguard, which is intended to stop the opponent's weapon during the fight. These holes were definitely used to attach the wooden parts of the sword hilt. We use our signature vinegar soaking technique to remove the rust and preserve the metal. Since this sword doesn't fit even the largest container we have, let's make a tub of the required size on our own. We cut off several pieces of cardboard from the box. After that, glue these cardboard strips around the outlines of the sword. That's how we get a tub of the desired shape. Certainly, cardboard can't contain the liquid, so we need to make a container leak-proof by covering it with a plastic film. It's time to take all the stuff indoors and pour vinegar until the sword is completely covered with liquid. We don't have enough vinegar for this metal arc, so we'll try to clean it up using a piece of sandpaper with the number 120 on it. The handguard has apparently been damaged in combat. Unfortunately, it is impossible to fix it with a hammer because of its shape. As you can see, the hammer is blocked by the opposite part of the plate. Therefore, we put the guard in a vise, slightly bent it, fix the deformation, and then bend it back. To bring the surface to the desired state, we use an abrasive sponge, which will smooth out all the scratches, providing the metal with a beautiful structure. The sword blade has been soaking in acetic acid overnight. At first, nothing is happening here, but taking a closer look, we can see that the rust is separating from the metal in small flakes over time. It's impressive how well regular vinegar works. The rust deposits are removed with the slightest movement of the brush. Moreover, there is no need to dispose of the acetic acid. We draw it out with a giant syringe from AliExpress and pour it into a small bottle to reuse it in the future. Using the brush and a water jet, we finally get rid of all the rust residue. When the metal becomes more or less clean, we notice a stamp with the inscription 75. What does that mean? Could it be 75 BC? Anyway, we fix the blade in a vise and clean its surface with a medium grit sanding sponge in order to reveal the texture of the metal. Also, we use a file to remove small defects created during the sword's production. Pay attention to its cutting edge. There are numerous dents that have probably appeared as a result of sea battles with other pirates. All of them also need to be removed, and the edge of the sword should be smoothed. It's not perfect yet, but it looks much better. Now it's time to finish the blade. We'll use a very fine abrasive sponge for this purpose. After that, we proceed to the heavy artillery, namely an angle grinder with a felt polishing disc made of Norwegian sheep wool. Apply some of the polishing paste on the disc and start polishing the sword. It looks pretty cool to me. The cavities only emphasize the great age of the weapon. In order not to damage the blade during further actions, we cover it with a masking tape. All that remains is to make the hilt. Since this is a pirate sword, then obviously the hilt should be made of coconut palm wood. And where do palm trees grow? Right, in Africa. I had no choice but to go to Africa for this material. I traveled from one village to another until I found a local carpenter who cut and sold me this beautiful coconut wood board for only $1. Now that we obtained the coconut wood, we may resume our work. we need to put the handle of the sword on it and draw a rough outline. And now get ready for a very cool special effect of instant board cutting that I saw on TikTok. Ready? It's unbelievable, isn't it? The blank for the hilt is cut out, but it appears to be too thick. Therefore, having fixed it in the vise, we'll divide it into two thinner planks. Cutting along the fibers is quite challenging, so it takes about 20 minutes of effort to get this kind of a sandwich. Now, mark 2 holes for fixing the pads and make them with a drill bit. Cut 2 pieces of aluminium bar of proper diameter and insert them into the holes of the pads and the metal part itself. Thus, we temporarily put all the parts together. This allows us to roughly process the future hilt with the file, so that it repeats the shape of the sword's tang. Now we need to remove the pads, since we also have the guard plate, which must be put on the sword before we permanently fix the hilt, otherwise we won't be able to do it. We are going to glue the pads using 2-component epoxy resin, which we once poured over a McDonald's burger. Measure the components in a 2:1 ratio. After that, use a drill to mix them thoroughly. Carefully apply the mixture to both parts and put them together. Afterward, secure everything with the rods once again, this time permanently. We have to fix the handle with clamps and leave it on the table until the resin hardens. Fortunately, this process doesn't take much time in the sun. In the morning, the resin has turned into plastic, and we need to remove the protruding parts of the aluminium rods. Next, we use a narrow strip of sandpaper to remove all the excess resin stuck to the handle. Now we pour a little linseed oil into a small container and carefully apply it to the wooden parts of the handle with a brush. Thanks to the oil, the patterns of the wood become clearer and more distinct. Look how beautiful the palm wood actually is. This is the most enjoyable and soothing part of crafting for me. I almost forgot about the fact that we need to fix the hand guard. For this purpose, we have to flatten the sword tang with a hammer. It's time to enjoy the results of our effort. Check out how cool it looks. The hilt is quite neat, beautiful and durable. Even though the blade itself is not polished to a perfectly smooth surface, it looks great and reflects the surrounding objects like a mirror. Anyway, in my opinion, this video would be incomplete without a hard test, so I've prepared the site and we can start testing our sword. First, we'll try to cut a dandelion. The next slightly harder test is a cucumber. No problem. A chocolate glazed donut. Easy. Purple eggplant shouldn't be a problem either. Okay, we'll cut that out during the editing. The next object in terms of hardness is a Kinder Surprise, and before this strike we need to do some preparations, repeating the special movements that I saw in the Kung Fu Panda cartoon to concentrate all my force into my hands. The chocolate egg and a toy have been scattered all over the garden. Cabbage? Easy. Hard African pineapple? No problem. I was concerned that it might not be able to cut a metal can of Coke into 2 parts, but our pirate sword went through it like a hot knife through butter, right in half. That's how we've made 2 little cups. And the ultimate test object is a huge watermelon. I was a little worried that I would make the weapon look bad, so I took a big swing, and the watermelon was split into pieces. Hang on, you're probably wondering what kind of a toy was inside the Kinder Surprise. It's a minion sitting on a weird stand.